little things, Andrea. I'm just going to do this blue puff half hexagon again. I did do it yesterday. It's from book 25 of Big and Little Crochet. I did do it yesterday, but when I went to edit it, my dogs were so noisy, I just couldn't inflict that on anybody. So I'm going to just refilm it today. So you need 2 colours of yarn. You'll need your sky blue and you need your leftover slate. This is sky blue. It says that you need rose as well, but you don't. You need the 4mm hook, and we're going to get started. You want to do a slip knot first, so however you do it. I do mine like this, and then we're going to be doing a chain 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to take a hook and insert it in the first chain, pull up a loop, pull it through the loop on our hook, and make ourselves a nice circle to crochet into. So for the first row then, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to use that as the first part of our puff stitch, but we're going to finish the puff stitch off. Okay, so yarn over into the circle, pull up a loop and pull the loop up to the length of that chain 3, and then do that 5 more times. Well, 4 more times, so you've got 6 in total. Yeah, and then you should have 11 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 11 loops, and then chain 2. And now we want to do another puff stitch, so this time we want to be doing 6 strands to it. So yarn over into the loop, the ring, pull up a loop up to here, and then 5 more, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over and pull through all 11 on your hook. Chain 2, 1 chain will lock it off and the other chain will give you a little bit of a chain space, and repeat again. So yarn over into the ring. I'm trying to sew in this straggler as I go. Pull up to the height of a chain 3 and then do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yarn over and pull through all 11, and then secure with 1 chain. This is your straggler, just ignore this now. I mean, it should be round the back. Let me just pull it through the back. I'm going to turn my work in a minute, so it's not going to make much difference, but I've sewn that in enough now. So you've got 3 puff stitches into your ring, okay? So turn your work and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And you want to work a puff stitch into the puff stitch. So you can see here, your little stitch that's finished your stitch off, that's where you want to be working. So we've got 1 piece, so this is part 2. Put it up, 3, 4 and part 5, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, chain 1, and now into this space you want to work a puff stitch, 2 chains and a puff stitch. So yarn over into the space between the 2 puff stitches, pull up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, 2 chains, and then another puff stitch into that same space. So yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yarn over, pull through all 11 on your hook, and chain 1. And now you want to do that again, so you're going to put 2 so we've got 3 puff stitches here. We've got 1 in the stitch, 2 in the space, yeah, so we're going to put 2 in this space and 1 in this stitch. So yarn over, into the space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, yarn over, pull through all 11, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pull through all 11, chain 1, and then find the top of that stitch. There's the top of your stitch there, and pop a puff stitch into there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pull it through and chain 1 to secure it. So now you've got 3 and then you've got 6 in your second row. Okay, now finish off with your sky blue and we'll change to the next colour. So now we're going to join the petrol, but before we do that, just check that you join it in the right place. This is where you finished the last round. So this is the beginning of the last round where you did your chain 3. Now you've got to join your petrol, I think, into here. So I put my hook in there, I put my yarn over the hook, I pull it through, and then I just keep my straggler and my working yarn together and pull them through, and that makes a nice secure join. Okay, let my straggler drop down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3 and then work a puff stitch into the top of the last puff stitch, which is here where you've got that little stitch. And chain 1 just to secure that. Okay, and I'm going to do a chain, and I'm going to do a puff stitch in the next chain space, which is here. Okay, so yarn over into the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up, chain 1. Now in the next chain space, what you want to do is put a puff stitch, 2 chains and a puff stitch. So yarn over into the space, pull up 1, pull up 2, pull up 3, pull up 4, pull up 5, pull up 6, yarn over and pull through all the loops, chain 1, chain 2, and then do another puff stitch into the same space. The thing is with this is that you use a lot of yarn, so your yarn's getting pulled all the time, so you need to pull down plenty. So yarn over into there, into that same chain space there, and then we just repeat that. So we do 1 puff stitch in the next chain space, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're going to do your final puff stitch is going to go into your puff stitch. So yarn over, go into the top of that puff stitch, into that stitch, and do your puff stitch there. 1, chain 1, and then you can turn your work. Okay, this is the back of our work. It's not quite as defined as the front. Right, so now what you want to do is more or less the same again, but you're going to add an extra single puff stitch in. So chain 3, okay, yarn over and put your first puff stitch into your puff stitch. So into there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yarn over, chain 1. And then this time we put a puff stitch in this space and a chain 1, a puff stitch in this space and a chain 1, and then we put a puff stitch, a chain 2, a puff stitch, chain 1, a puff stitch, chain 1, a puff stitch, chain 2, a puff stitch, chain 1, puff stitch, chain 1, and a puff stitch in the last puff stitch. So I'll just do one more with you, but it should make sense now. So into the space, and you're going to do a puff stitch. Just be careful now that you're not catching everything. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, chain 1. Into the next space, 1 puff stitch. Pull it through, chain 1, and now into here you want to do a puff stitch, chain 2, and a puff stitch. Chain 1, and then here you want to do a puff stitch, pull through. So what you want to do is chain 1 and put a double crochet in the puff stitch. So put your hook into the puff stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. Now you want to put a double crochet in the chain space, single crochet in the US, a double crochet in the next puff stitch, a double crochet in the chain space, a double crochet in the next puff stitch, two double crochet in the next chain space, a double crochet in the puff stitch, a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet in the corner. Okay, then a double crochet in the puff stitch, a double crochet in the space, a double crochet in the puff stitch, and a double crochet in the space, a double crochet in the puff stitch, a double crochet in the space, a double crochet in the puff stitch, a double crochet in that puff stitch, and now we're at the space in the corner again. So a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet into the space. And then we just do a double crochet into the puff stitch, a double crochet into the space, and that's it, all done. That's really nice. It's half a hexagon, so I just have to weave these ends, sew these ends in. Most of them have been weaved in though, so not going to be a big deal. And that's that. So it's not rocket science. If you wanted to make that a full hexagon, you'd just, instead of making 3 to start with, you'd make 6, and then you'd just do exactly what you've done, but you do the same on each side if you like. Okay, so I've got 2 of these now because I made one earlier, and the I mean, if you wanted to make, you could sew 2 together if you didn't want to work it out. So yeah, so I've got 2 of these. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.